Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here with a quick preview of Oceans. So this is a game that's actually been out for a while, but they are reprinting with some expansions, one of which is a solo mode. So I'm going to show you how to run the Nautilus, which is basically the solo bot for Oceans. So if you haven't played this game before, I can tell you it is fun, it is simple. I actually wish I had brought it with me on vacation this past weekend to teach my family, and my students like it as well. This is also a game that's a successor to Evolution, which I particularly liked with the climate expansion. Basically, the point of this game is that we're going to create these ocean species that evolve to have different traits, and we are going to try to keep their populations alive. We're going to try to feed them. We're going to try to do everything that we can to get the most points. So here's a little prototype rulebook for the solo game. You are trying to get the most points, but you are competing against the Nautilus. So here we have a little table that tells us the Nautilus wins if I get anything less than 70 points. You win, but you're just a clownfish if you get between 70 and 79. And of course you can go to whale, shark, and then kraken. I'm certainly no kraken at this game. It's definitely not yet anyway. But what I can tell you is that there are 100 little clownfish out here. And if you're going to get 70 points, you need to make sure that you're getting 70 of them and you're only letting the opponent have like 30. That's a big margin to have to win by. And so you're going to have to really work this game to get to that scoring total. I'm just going to play some sample turns, so I won't get there, but I will tell you, I think I've won it like once. I'm not great at it, but it's really fun. So I'm going to finish up setup, but I just kind of want to talk about what's out here. I've drawn my opening hand of 6 cards, so we're going to look at them in a moment as I build my first species. I'll be taking the first turn. This is called the Gene Pool. These are 3 cards that are off of the deep deck. And these are cards I won't be able to play right away, but I do want to be kind of looking at them and thinking about how to build my species out. In a multiplayer game, there's only 2 of them kind of sitting out on the markets, but in the solo game, you get 3. These are species boards, which you'll see. Here are the surface cards, which are the main ones that I've been drawing. And up here, you can probably see them, but I actually can't. The camera's too far away for me to read the tokens on like the little viewfinder. And I'm at an angle where I can't actually see what I'm pulling out of the little cups. But these are the tokens that we're going to be using to run the Nautilus. So these are their surface tokens, like the equivalent of surface cards. And here are their deep tokens, which are their equivalent of having cards for the deep. We also have our population all set up here. We've got the reef. This is where most animals are going to just kind of forage. This is the first big area where you start to get fish to eat and therefore points to score, population to grow. And you also have these 3 different ocean zones. The first ocean zone makes something special happen the first time you empty it. At the bottom of here, we have a card called the Cambrian Explosion, which is basically going to speed up the game, change it mechanically in some simple but impactful ways, and we're going to have to work with what that brings for us. There's also a couple of little scenario cards here. There are a bunch of different ones you can draw, some of which are a lot meaner than these 2, but these are the ones that are recommended for a first game in the little prototype rulebook, so these are the ones that I chose to put on the board. So you got prosperity in this case, you can store some extra population. You got long haul migration, which means you can forage from any ocean zone instead of just the reef. So there are definitely some interesting things that might happen depending on how far we progress in this sample playthrough. So probably not that far this time. I'm planning to go back and forth up to maybe the Cambrian Explosion, maybe a little into there. And then once all of this is empty, there's a little reserve of fish that you can pour and just kind of finish out everybody's turn, but the game is essentially over. So this is what we've got to work with. We want to get as many of these fish as possible, and we want to let the Nautilus get as few of them as possible. So the way they're going to play is we actually get like a little preview of what they're going to do. This should actually go this way, I believe. So during the Cambrian Explosion, we'd actually fill out both rows, but we're not going to do that this time. We're only going to fill out the top row. So what I need is 4 surface tokens by this background and then 1 deep token. There's some extra deep tokens here that are higher level ones, but I left them out of this little preview because they're meant for more advanced play. And this is just supposed to be a little introductory preview, but they're there. You've got options. So let's grab 4 of these and then we'll just put them down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We can kind of see what our little creatures are going to be doing. And then 5. All right, so that's our initial setup. I'm going to explain what all these little tokens are as we go and look at the symbols on the cards. But we're actually ready to start playing, and we're going to look at my opening hand as well. So one of the things that's very nice about this game is it's got very simple to read symbols. And there's also a very nice player aid that kind of tells you what you're going to do on your turn, which is important. And then there are also icons and what they mean. So you can actually check all the icons for the game and figure out what you're supposed to be doing. So what you're going to be seeing the most is forage, which means take from the reef. Attack, which means you're taking it from another species that you're targeting. Gain, which means you're going to take from the first ocean zone available. So start here, go that way. These are may never forage or may never attack. Some of the creatures that you build are set in their ways as predators or foragers. And then you have shells, which do some protection work, which is quite good. If we overpopulate, so you can see there's like a little skeleton here, then you have to reduce your population back down to 5. So be careful about that. You don't want to accidentally lose population unnecessarily. And then there are adjacency arrows. So we're going to talk about adjacency as we play, but basically imagine that my species will be kind of clockwise to these species that are being run by the Nautilus. And then you have a migrate number. That's in the bottom left of each card. A migrate number basically tells you how many fish you can migrate from one of these zones to another. The migrate numbers on the deep cards are small, and that's because when you get to the point where you can use these, which is after the Cambrian Explosion, we can't use them in this first chunk of the game. You have to pay for them, and you pay for them out of the victory points that you've accrued so far. So these are going to cost me if I decide to put them into play. All right, so let's go ahead and just have a turn, see how it goes. So we're going to go first, and the first thing that I'm going to do is play cards. This is pre-Cambrian Explosion. So right now I can play 1 card. Post-Cambrian Explosion, I'll be able to play 2 cards, which is pretty awesome. But for now, I can play 1 card. Let's see what I've got. So I have an Apex Predator, which is pretty good. I'm going to want to use this at some point. We have Symbiotic. And Symbiotic basically means that you gain 1 after the species to the right forages or attacks. So you put this next to something that's kind of a powerhouse. So I might like put my Apex Predator out and then get a Symbiotic species going that feeds off of what my Apex Predator does. That seems smart. Shark Cleaner. After a species with 3 or more attacks, so 3 attack basically stat, we're going to gain 2 if this is the closest Shark Cleaner on either side. So basically, if I make a shark, I can make a Symbiotic Shark Cleaner next to it to feed off of it, so I'm seeing some really good synergy here. I've got a Whale Cleaner, so after a species with 3 or more forages, I gain 3 if this is the closest Whale Cleaner on either side. So I can make like a separate species like over here that feeds off of this whale, because it goes like a clock. So this Whale Cleaner would be like adjacent to the whale board, if that's what I chose to do. And then I have 2 speed cards. And these are really good for either predators or foragers, depending on what kind of animal you've started to go with. Probably my Apex Predator will get these. You could also have some shell traits, so you get some defense as well. This is pretty nice. So what I'd really like to do is get my Apex Predator out, but there's nothing for him to currently like predate on. There is no population out here. So I don't want to get him vulnerable for no good reason. So what I might do... So any animal that you put out could attack or forage for 1, even if it doesn't have anything special like on the card. So what I want to do is let's go ahead and start with my Symbiotic species. So we're going to put this one out. And we're going to put a little species board next to it. You can have up to 3 traits on a given species unless there's a card that lets you have more. So for example, speed gives you 1 extra trait. So I could have 4 on a species that had the speed card. You can also remove traits at will and just kind of switch things out. So, you know, this game is very customizable to make sure you're being optimized. So this guy is Symbiotic. We're going to gain 1 after the species to the right forages or attacks. So right now... that's not anything, and I need some food for my guy to make it through the rest of this turn. So I'm going to show you how the next part works. So I've played my cards. That's what happened. Now I'm going to feed. So basically, even if I don't have a symbol that allows me to forage or to attack, all species can just do that for 1. So I'm going to go ahead and just take 1 from the reef. We're going to forage for 1. My dinky little species doesn't seem like it's doing much yet, but you know, we might get there. Then I'm going to do what's called aging. So before the Cambrian Explosion, I score 1 population from each of my species. What that really means is that parts of my population will die off as part of aging, and they're going to go into my little score pile over here. Just throw them all over there. Let's put it on screen so you can watch the pile grow, I guess. So we've aged. And then, by the way, if you can't age the full amount, you go extinct. So right now, the species is not extinct. It doesn't have any population, but we just can't see them. They're going to be there, I promise. This one is just kind of looking rough, but I'm thinking it'll survive to another turn. And then I can discard and draw. So basically, I can look at my cards, and if I wanted to discard any, I could, and then I can draw back up to 6. So I can take 1 deep card if I want to. I could take one of these, Or I could draw 4 and keep 1. It's draw 3 and keep 1 in the multiplayer game, but not for solo. However, I can't play these for a while. The Cambrian Explosion is a while off. So I'm going to just take 1 off of this pile instead. All right, I got another whale cleaner. Okay, so I might have like a very whale cleanery species at some point. We're going to have to see. So that was my entire turn. I'm sitting here with 1 dinky little point. And as you can see, I'm going to have to catch up quick because the Nautilus does not play. So the first thing that you do, just like you play a card first on your turn, is you play a Nautilus token. So let's look at these tokens over here and see what we've got. If it's got a green border, it's for the whale. If it's got a red border, it's for the shark. This is a whale token, and this is also a whale. So lots of whale stuff, but the shark is going to get very attacky in upcoming turns as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 1 token, the rightmost token, and we're moving this way with the Nautilus. So we're going to take this little 3 shell, which means that this stupid whale now has a bunch of defense, which is going to make it harder to attack. Great. That makes it harder for all of us, unfortunately, the shark and me. So what's going to happen, though, is that we're going to come over here, and we're going to put that 3 shell on. Then we're going to feed these boards. So you feed the leftmost bird first, and then the rightmost. So the shark needs to eat. These guys can't actually go extinct, though, so it doesn't matter if nothing happens to them. They can just keep on trucking. So I'm actually sort of not sure what to do about this because there's nothing that the shark can eat at this point. So the shark is going to basically attack the species that's going to give it the most population, whether it's one of my species or the whale. However, neither of these is going to give it any population. Like, it would attack me if I had anything, but I don't. And so it can't attack me. And it would want to attack the whale, but it can't, because the whale has 3 shell over here and the shark only has 2 attack. So basically the shark can't do anything this turn, which is kind of wild if you think about it. My assumption is that because these species can't go extinct, it doesn't actually matter. The shark just won't get anything this turn. So correct me if I'm wrong. I know this is like still a highly developed prototype. It's still a proto, but that's what I'm going to judge in the moment is going to happen. So the shark can't eat anything because there's nothing to eat. This is a tough start to the ocean life. But then we're going to go over to the whale and we're going to feed the whale. So the whale forages for 2. So the whale's going to take 2 fish and put them on the whale board. So we have absolutely fed, at least gone through the process of trying to feed both of these boards. And now they're going to age just like I do. So fortunately, they can't go extinct or else the shark would be immediately dead, but it's not. It'll actually probably do great later in the game. And then the Nautilus is going to score 1 population from this board. So this is the Nautilus's score pile. I'm just throwing their fish up there. So I have 1 point. The Nautilus has 1 point. For now, we are at an impasse. All right, so now it's my go again. What do I want to do? The thing is that there's just not enough population out there for me to comfortably get another species out, even though I'd love to get a predator going. So we're going to keep working on my little symbiotic creature. So unfortunately, this dude didn't get anything off the shark this past time because it gains 1 after the species to the right forages or attacks. The shark didn't have anything to attack. It just didn't do anything, which kind of stinks. I would get an apex predator out, but it only has an attack of 3 and the whale has a shield of 3 and there's nothing else to eat. So I basically just auto kill like my best card. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave my speeds alone. We can turn the symbiotic creature into some sort of cleaner, maybe like a whale and shark cleaner. So that way it's just constantly benefiting off of what everybody does. Let's go with whale cleaner. No, because that's 3 or more. Let's go with shark cleaner, because the shark is imminently going to have more attack than 3. So basically it will just keep gaining off of the shark. So let's do that. If a species with 3 attack value or more attacks, we gain 2 if this is the closest shark leader on either side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this card on there. So I could spin card for migration. I could do other things with my cards, but I'm trying to get a species going here. So then what I'm going to do again is I'm once again going to just forage, get my 1 measly little population. I'm feeding it. It's working out, I guess. Then we're going to age. So I've got 2 points. This is looking amazing. And then we're going to clean up. So I've got 5 cards. Do I need both whale cleaners? Probably not. I'm going to discard 1 whale cleaner and then get Ooh, Tentacled. May feed one additional time. Okay, that's pretty killer as a card. I'm here for that. So I've drawn out my cards, and now it's the Nautilus again. So the Nautilus is going to take its rightmost token, and this time it's a 3. So this shark got a lot deadlier. This is a 3 attack over here on the shark. So Jaws over here is going to look for the species that's going to attack, that's going to get the most population. That's going to get it the most population. And that is not me, because I'm starving over here. So we got this whale. It's only going to be 1, but it's something. So the shark with its 5 could get up to 2 population away from the whale, but it won't because there's only 1 fish over here. But the shark's going to take it. So chomp, the shark has now taken this 1 population from the whale. And I'm actually going to benefit from that. So symbiotic, I gain 1 after the species to the right, that's the shark, forages or attacks. So I actually got 1 fish from that, and I gained it from the ocean, from the first ocean zone. So that was actually really good for me. And the shark attacking is going to benefit me as well, because I have Shark Cleaner. After a species with 3 or more forage attacks, I can gain 2 if this is the closest Shark Cleaner on either side. So even though it only gained 1 population, I'm still going to gain 2 from this ocean. Only 2. So I actually had a very nice little round from that. Of course, it opens me up to attack from the shark, but we'll get there when we get there. So my little symbiotic shark cleaner had a great turn. Now we're going to feed the whale. The whale is going to forage for 2 from the reef. And that's what it did. It's all good for now. So now what's going to happen is these guys are going to age. So now I need to get another species out, because as you can see, with 2 active species, the Nautilus scores faster than me. So I need to think about how I'm going to handle that. But now it's back to me, and I can make that decision. The thing is, I'd really like to use Whale Cleaner, but the whale can't do enough yet, so we're not doing that. I think what I might actually do... Alright, get this. Ew, this is iffy. I really want to get my Apex Predator out, but the problem is that if I feed now, I'll accidentally munch on my entire species. Or I could attack the... I can't attack the whale because he's at 3. And the shark had 1 that I could have pushed off it, except that it needed it to age. So this is actually kind of rough for me. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to play speed on a new creature. I'm going to put it here to the left of my symbiotic shark cleaner, because he can just keep messing with this shark. Or I could put it to the right, and it wouldn't matter, because it matters if it's the closest shark cleaner on either side. So it doesn't actually have to be adjacent to the shark. Let's put this here. That way I can keep benefiting off of more different stuff. I can like get a little extra bump this turn. That seems good. Okay. So we're gonna put the speed over here. Now I can have 1 extra trait if I want it. And I've got 2 shell, 2 forage, and 2 attack. So what I'm gonna do for now is I'm actually gonna use this to forage. So we're gonna forage 2 from the reef. Excellent. And then because I foraged and I was to the right, this one will also gain 1 from the ocean. So that's actually a nice little deal for me. So that was basically my turn. He fed, he got to enjoy that symbiotic relationship. And now I need to age. So 1 of each of these is going to come off my boards. That's actually good, because now I've got 2 species that are kind of going to generate points for me. And then we're going to do cleanup. I still want to stick with the surface cards. Actually, I should have drawn a second one last time, so we'll just draw it up. All right, so I've got more tentacles and a filter feeder. Okay, so now I can do some foraging of my own, which is also pretty nice. Yeah, I'm back up at 6. And I've got lots of actually really exciting possibilities for what I could do. I think I want to play just a little bit more, mainly because I'm kind of getting into it. But let's play 1 more turn, and then I'll call it a day. We'll talk about what happened after the Cambrian Explosion, just so you can get a sense. But basically, it is now the Nautilus's turn, so the shark is going to get even nastier. This shark now has an attack value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoo! And it's going to attack the species that's going to give it the most population. So basically, it's going to come clean me out. My symbiotic species just got wrecked. However, the shark is going to take all this population from me, right? But then I would have gained 1 after the species threat forages or attacks, but I'm making that my own guy now. So that won't happen this time. However, I can still use Shark Cleaner. So a species with 3 or more attacks, I can gain 2 if I'm the closest Shark Cleaner on either side, which I absolutely am. So we're gonna go like that. So I got some population off of losing population by being the closest Shark Cleaner to the shark. So it could have been worse. Now we're at the whale. The whale is gonna just forage for another 2. And then they're gonna age. So they're getting steady points here. And then it's gonna be back to me. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and add Apex Predator to this species, which I am very pleased to do. So basically I'm gonna come get some of my population back from this freaking shark. So here's what I'm gonna do. Now that I've turned this into an Apex Predator, it cannot forage anymore. It can only attack. So we're gonna have to live with that choice. But now I can attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is pretty good. And I have 4 shell, so 4 defense. So I can choose to attack the shark, or I can choose to attack the whale. Either way, I'm gonna get some good population off of it, but I think I'm gonna take population off the shark. Because leaving things on the whale over time makes the shark more likely to attack over there and not me. So I'm going to come and take the shark's population. Take that shark. And this species is going to gain 1 because the species to the right attacked. And it's also going to gain 3 because this species that has 3 or more attack just attacked. So it's going to get 2 more. So that was a very nice turn for my critters. Maybe it would be nice to have some sort of defensive trait for this one because the shark's going to keep cleaning me out pretty bad. But it is what it is for now. But I need to do something to keep the shark from taking all my points off of my symbiotic shark cleaner. Because he's surviving, but this is tough. For now, though, we're going to age. So it's another lovely 2 points for me. And so things are actually looking pretty good for me versus the Nautilus for right now. But because it just keeps growing and growing and growing, it can really surprise you. Let's play one more Nautilus turn because I want to show you his gains token. And then we're going to talk about a few things that didn't show up in play. And then that'll be the end of this preview. So what's going to happen this turn is that we're going to have an interesting little token coming off of the Nautilus track. So this is called a gains token, and you put it on the species that has the largest population. So that's going to be this one. So this is actually kind of tough for me because now the Nautilus is feeding off of my success over here. I made a cool little symbiotic shark cleaner, but now they're just going to keep eating it. Great. So this shark, however, is actually going to help me in a way by cleaning off all of my poor little fishies because it can attack for 7 and I've got 4. So it's just going to clean me out. That's so cruel. So it took all my little fish. So, however, even though the shark cleaned me out, I do still get 2 of my population in gains from the ocean because there was an attack. So basically my symbiotic species is symbiotic even with itself. Oh god. So I'm going to have 2 fish here for my population. That means that when we come to the whale's going to forage for 2 from the reef. And then the whale's also going to gain from the ocean 2 population, because that's what the gain token is, and that's how many population I've got right now. So the whale has suddenly started to really pick up the pace in terms of what it's able to get, and it's doing it on my back. So that's one of the things that makes the Nautilus kind of interesting, actually, is that so the shark has a leech token, it's like a parasite that can leech off of your population, but the whale also has ways to benefit from you. And so you have to thrive, but the whale and the shark are going to thrive with you in ways that maybe you don't like. So that's overall how the game works. And then basically the thing that's going to be different is what happens after the Cambrian Explosion. So the Cambrian Explosion changes things because it lets you play these deep cards that have unique and interesting capabilities. And it's going to change some aspects of gameplay. So when you have the Cambrian Explosion, you can play 2 cards per turn instead of 1. So we've all been kind of choked out just playing 1 card. So it changes, you know, basically what your options are per turn. You can start a new species and evolve another one. You can put 2 cards down on a new species. It gives you a lot of flexibility. The other thing you have to do, however, is age 2 per turn instead of 1. And that comes with some risks of its own, because basically right now I can kind of squeak by with just getting 1 population for a new species, hoping for the best. I know that I'm going to make it through the aging process. But as you start to age by 2, then you end up in a situation where your population is just struggling harder if it got decimated by, say, a shark attack, or you didn't feed it because you needed to feed something else. You have to be a little bit more careful when you're aging by 2 instead of 1. At the same time, it also gets you more points, so you really want to hit that Cambrian Explosion, because if you're doing well with your species, you're really pulling those great tokens off and scoring off of them. The other thing that's going to change once we get to the Cambrian Explosion is that instead of having the top row filled on the Nautilus, both will be filled up, and you're going to play 2 tokens per turn, just like a player can play 2 cards. So there's a lot of peril there that'll make it more intuitive to operate. But yeah, that is a basic overview of how you play Oceans against the Nautilus, so the solo variant of this game. This is a preview, not a review, but I do feel comfortable saying that I personally am enjoying it quite a bit, and that I actually really like this game overall. I'm super glad that they made a solo variant for something in that kind of evolution system, because I absolutely loved Evolution Climate, and I didn't get Oceans because it didn't have solo. I'd already played a bunch of Evolution. I didn't want to like kind of push further into non-solo games because I don't buy them. So now Oceans is my favorite over Evolution because I can play it by myself. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this helped you make a decision about whether this game is for you. And do like, subscribe, comment, and most of all, happy gaming, everybody.